This is the Sherman D. Manning Podcast. Welcome, 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 welcome. Thank you kindly. Thank you for joining us. I am Sherman D. Manning, author of The Truth About O.J. Simpson, Race, Class, Money, and Justice. Race, Class, Money, and Justice. Get that book from Amazon.com or at your local bookstores. Ladies and gentlemen, first and foremost, I don't know about you. I can't speak for you, and you certainly cannot speak for me, but I am first and foremost glad to be alive and in the land of the living one more time. Yes, I am. The old folk used to say I could have been dead, sleeping in my grave, but God made old death behave. So I'm glad. I am honored. I am excited. I praise the name of Almighty God for the opportunity to be alive and in the land of the living one more time. I thank God for the Francisco home. This evening they had a welcoming party for me over at Lord have mercy, I don't have it here with me. I think it was St. Cecilia Church. It was one of those saints, but nevertheless, Sister Teresa, Julia, and all those who participated, I am most appreciative for them for welcoming me with welcoming arms. And I also wanted to say a word about my attorney Robert Sheehan out of Beverly Hills. This is a good man. This is a good man. He called me today at 2:00 just to see if I needed anything. And that kind of stuff is touching to me, and I will memorialize it and remember it for the rest of my life. Robert Sheehan, Sheahen. Now, I'm not advertising him because he never lacks for work. And the thing about criminal defense attorneys, if they're worth their salt, they turn down cases more than they accept them. So he doesn't need any business. I thank God for him. I really do. And I'm also honored and blessed by my family, by James Scott Manning, by Dolly Mae Manning, and by the best friend I have on the planet, Peter Andrist in Switzerland. I thank God for him. What greater love hath any man than he lay down his life for his friend? Peter is my friend. And I thank God for his wife, Catherine, and his two kids, Felix Alexander and Philip Michael. Peter, if you're listening over in Switzerland, you're the man. I love you like a brother. I love you like you're my own family. I really do. You are my family. Today has been an interesting day. I've been out of jail now, I guess approximately 9 days or so. And I literally had to call the police on someone today. Okay? So my brother went to wherever you go in Atlanta to get a copy of my birth certificate, and he sent it to me via express mail, overnight delivery. And so I frantically called the post office today to find out why did I not get it. And they indicated, well, we dropped it at your house at your place at 11:30 yesterday. I said, well, I was here at 11:30, so it didn't come here. And so they double checked the address, and they found out that they sent it to another street, same number but another street. And so they said, we will send the carrier to retrieve it. They sent the carrier to retrieve it, and they said that a big black lady came out of the house and said, I'm not going to give it to you. So she would not return my birth certificate. Okay. Now the post office called me and said, you better call the police, because if someone has your birth certificate, that's the starting of the creation of identity fraud. And so I called the cops, and they came over to my location and went with me and went in and used the ruse. And in less than 3 minutes, they had the birth certificate. But this was an hours long process. I had to wait for the cops for 45 minutes. So it's the first time I've ever had to call the cops on somebody, and I don't know who I called them on, but I know I needed that birth certificate, and I thank God that I got it. So it has been one of those, excuse me, type of days. I'm still trying to access my money. Monty Henry over at DPO Services. If you're listening, you're going to have to get a hold of me because I had to change all of my emails. I shouldn't have given my email out over the air like that. Someone tried some sneaky stuff, so I changed my email altogether. So Monty Henry, our sponsor, the sponsor of this podcast over at DPO Services. If you're listening, you need to give me a call. I don't mind giving my phone number. You know, you can't hack into a telephone number. If I don't recognize your number, I just won't answer you. So you can call me all day long because my friends can tell you that I rarely ever answer their calls. So Monty Henry, if you're listening, dial this number 404 386 9356. Monty Henry in Ventura, California, the owner and proprietor of DPL Services. If you're listening to this podcast, you call me at 404 386 9356. 9356. And if you're listening to this podcast and you want a free copy of The Truth About O.J. Simpson, Race, Class, Money, and Justice, be the first one to call that number tonight at 9 o'clock sharp. Be the first person to call that number tonight at 9 o'clock sharp, and you will get a free copy of The Truth About O.J. Simpson, Race, Class, Money, and Justice. That book is selling like hotcakes, and we're getting all kind of great comments on the book, especially for folk who are watching the FX series, The People versus O.J. Simpson. Call that number. I'm going to give it out one more time. That number is 404 386 9356. Brothers, what's the big idea? That's what I want to know. What is the big idea? What are we going to do to make criminal justice become a part of the platform of these folk who are running for president? What are we going to do to get our government to stop building jails and start building schools? What are we going to do to stop the violence of the police officers and prevent us from having to march out in the streets yelling out, hands up, don't shoot? What are we going to do? And I'm going to say something that's very unpopular tonight, but I'm not here for popularity. I'm here for candor and transparency. Not all cops are bad. I think the ones who are bad, we should nail them to the cross. And I don't mean that literally. I do not mean that literally. I am nonviolent. But I want to give a shout out that most folk wouldn't think I would give out. But I'm going to give a shout out to Officer Horesco, Horeczko, and to Officer Mantor, Mantor. These are good guys. Officer Horesco, badge number 35806. Mantor, 37190. These guys are Los Angeles Police Department officers out of the 77th Precinct. I wrote them a letter of commendation today after they assisted me in getting my, not assisted me, after they got my birth certificate back. And I took it to the 77th Precinct and turned it in. Call me what you want to call me. When you dial 911 and someone is being raped, you want a cop to show up. When you dial 911 and someone is shooting at you, you want a cop to show up. We should love good police officers who do their job, who are honest, who have integrity, who have character. And those who come in and try to hold our neighborhoods under siege, those who come in and disrespect, lie, shoot, kill, and steal, nail them to the cross. They're bad people in every profession on the planet. There's not a single profession where they're not bad apples. You've got Catholic priests who molest children. Not all of them do. You've got preachers who fornicate on and or commit adultery on their wives. Not all of them do. You've got doctors like Dr. Jeffrey Abrams in San Diego who molested a disabled child in his office and got probation. Probation because he had money. But not all doctors are like that. So we don't stop going to the doctor and hate all doctors because of what Dr. Abrams did. We call it as we see it. So these guys get good guy chronos from me, if you will. I salute them. They did a great job. And there are many, many officers on a routine basis who do a great job every day. Does this mean I do not support Black Lives Matter? Of course not. I do support Black Lives Matter financially, mentally, psychologically, physically, and in every way. We need it. Okay, don't misunderstand. We need it. But we also need to occasionally give an applause to the guys on the police department who do their jobs. We are to applaud them for doing their jobs. Today I met Professor Ben Pack over at USC. He actually attended my welcoming ceremony tonight, and we were talking about doing some projects together, writing. He teaches writing. Ben looks like a kid. He looks like he could be probably maybe 20 years old, and he told me he's in his 30s, and he's actually a professor. I thought initially, as did everyone there, that he was a student, but he's actually a professor. Ben Pack, P-A-C-K, over at USC. I'm going to be going to visit with him fairly soon. Donald, not calling his last name, is a racist pedophile. He needs to be locked up, period. O.J. Simpson needs a cellmate. Donald Trump is a racist pedophile. He's Adolf Hitler on steroids. He likes children. He should be locked up. Read my book, America's Dream. I'm sorry. I do have a book called America's Dream, A Search for Justice also. Great book. But read America's Richest Pedophiles. You can get that at cafepress.com. America's Richest Pedophiles. Get it at cafepress.com. That's CAFEPRESS.com, as you know. Get that book and read about Donald. He's on the front cover. He's a pedophile. We can't trust this Klansman with the keys and the codes to the nukes. And if Chuck Todd and John Dickerson and George Stephanopoulos are too timid, too nervous, too weak, or whatever to call it like they really see it within, I'm going to call it like I see it within. This is beat the press, baby, not meet the press. Donald needs his butt kicked to run out here and spread this racism and this hatred all over this country as he has done, hoodwinking the American people, playing on the minds of those who are not that intelligent, playing on the minds of those who do not have that much education, rather, playing on the minds of poor and lower middle class white people, whipping them up into a frenzy when he has never done anything to help the working class or the middle class in this country. His track record speaks for itself. It's time for white people and black people, all of us, to get together and stop just listening to the rhetoric and look at the facts. Find out how much money Donald paid his employees at his hotels. Find out what kind of payer he is. Find out what kind of programs he supports for his employees. You'll find that Donald is a racist pedophile, period. 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 And anybody that supports him needs to look in the mirror and to thine own self be true. Let's get this thing together. The Truth About O.J. Simpson, Sherman D. Manning. Get that book, The Truth About O.J. Simpson, Race, Class, Money, and Justice. Again, get my book, The Truth About O.J. Simpson, Race, Class, Money, and Justice. Get The Truth About O.J. Simpson, Race, Class, Money, and Justice. Get it at your local bookstores or get it at Amazon.com. Don't forget to visit www.napsusa.org. That's